All right. Hello, John, Lauren, and Sharon. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is Amber from WebCourseWorks. We will be using the Q&A panel, so feel free to send any messages or questions, thoughts through that throughout the webinar. Good morning, Hope. Thanks for joining us today.
I hope.
So we'll be getting started in just a couple minutes. You guys, oh, hi. So John, you're from McFarland. Awesome. Yeah, you're not far away. We're, our headquarters is in Madison. Of course, right now we're all a little bit distributed. I'm in Edgerton with really bad internet connection. So if this whole thing gets taken down, I'm sorry. But thanks for joining us, John.
Hope everyone had an opportunity, who at least around here, to get outside yesterday a little bit. I know there's not too much we can do, but it was outrageously nice here in Madison. So
I know, 70 degrees.
I was longing out
crazy.
the window, dreaming of golf and finer
right.
things.
We've got Hope from Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of representation in Wisconsin today, and Sharon, you guys are in La Crosse, yeah. Awesome. Lauren, I'm not sure where you're from. Where are you from, Lauren? We'll see. Okay. We'll be getting started in, let's see, I have to look at my phone, a couple minutes here. So for those that have joined us, start thinking about why you joined and what you want to see today. We'll be asking you to just send that into the chat shortly so that we can make sure this 45 minutes is really helpful for those of you with us. Oh, from Houston. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Lauren. So when we talk about 70 degrees and it's like amazing, you're not too enthralled with that.
Not as enthused.
Okay, so John's also interested in seeing how Zoom handles webinars. Well, we're all in this together. Zoom's actually one of our, we actually have used GoToWebinar and Zoom as a company to host our webinars. So we've used both. We like them both. It's too hot. Lauren says it's too hot in Houston. Yeah, because you guys have a lot of humidity, so it feels a lot heavier, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Got a couple more people still coming in, so I'm just gonna wait a minute to start. Hope's daughter is tired of Zoom because she has online learning. Yeah, I've got to say, I used to like virtual meetings with my camera on a lot more, and now that it's like 9 hours of having my face on the screen, it's getting a little bit less fun. Okay. Amber, Brad, Aaron, thanks for joining us. It looks like Jay joined as well. Lorena, Stephanie. Awesome. Oh, Hope, your daughter learned how to mute and unmute herself on Zoom. I learned that I can mute and unmute our panelists. So like Matt, watch out.
I'm in trouble. I gotta tread the line correctly. So
yeah, good. All right, are we okay? So we're a little bit we're at 10 o'clock Central Time, so we're going to get started. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We've been trying to do one of these weekly just to help any of our association clients, anybody in the association space trying to host virtual events right now. So we really want to make this useful for you. We're going to show you our learning management system and how you can use it for virtual events. I know I've got a lot of actual clients on the call, so I will let you guys know too that all of what I'm going to show today is available in the learning management system. Conference Now is kind of like a standalone platform using the LMS that you guys have integrated with all of your systems. So same system, same functionality. So for the clients on the call, you should be able to get just as much value out of this as anybody watching that is interested in just a standalone platform. All right, and then Matt, so sorry, I'm Amber Winter, the VP of Sales and Service from WebCourseWorks. Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Matt Harpold. I'm the Client Success Manager at WebCourseWorks.
So I'll be kind of leading the technical demo of this conversation. Matt will be watching your guys' questions in chat. So here we go. We've only got 45 minutes, so just ask as many questions as possible, and we're going to be responding and watching that to guide the demo based on what you guys that are here really want to see. So feel free, you guys have been doing it already, so go ahead and just put your questions into that Q&A panel. This is like our initial outline of what I plan to cover today. Again, you guys can take this a whole different direction if you want to, but really what we want to cover is virtual conferences. What are the three main components? How do you do that in an online environment? And a demo of the Conference Now platform, which is our learning management system, able to be stood up without all of the various integrations. However, same functionality available to all the clients on the call that are already using CoreStage Learning Management System. So again, feel free to send in any questions that you have. I also have a little PDF diagram that we just finished yesterday that we'll talk about, and I'll throw up to show you. And I can send it as a resource to any clients, but it really breaks down the different webinar platforms out there, what some of their limitations are as far as like integration limitations, and then what they allow for. So when we talk about having multiple sessions at one time, there's just a lot of like weird technical nuances. So I'll throw that up to talk about it a little bit as well. It's a very important conversation to have so that everybody understands what's going on. Just a little bit of background about us. So we are an education software company. We've been in business for about 40 years. We have a learning management system that we offer specifically for associations. So it's kind of purpose-built for the association space. We also provide a ton of instructional design, e-learning consulting, and production services. So we work with our association clients to kind of take their education programs, either just starting off, how do you move all of your face-to-face events and have online components, doing hybrid events, completely on demand, so webinars, live and on-demand webinars, all the way through like full SCORM, multi-curriculum programs. So this is what we've been doing for the past 20 years. And we have a great support team that helps our clients use our systems and use them well. So that's kind of where we get the knowledge of what we've been doing and what we're going to share with you today. So please, since we only have 45 minutes, if you can just send into the Q&A panel what you're here to learn today, I'll make sure to just kind of be watching that and make sure we cover your questions throughout. And again, feel free to add them at any time. But if right now, if you came here hoping to learn something very specific, feel free to send that in and let us know why you showed up. We all have very limited time these days, so thank you for spending your morning with us, and go ahead and just send into the Q&A what you're here to learn. The exhibit hall. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I'll cover that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hope's lurking on behalf of your conferences team. Sounds good. How do folks make sense of the avalanche of information now available? Yeah, Tobin, great question. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm an expert to answer that. I might ask you that question, Tobin. Good. Okay. So continue to send those in. We'll definitely be looking at that expo hall, looking at using CoreStage for conferences. So, yep. Okay. So let's get started. Some of the things that if you have a conference and you want to use our system for it, these are the first questions that you're going to be asked by our team. So get them ready. What are the dates? How many attendees do you expect? What tools do you already have? if you have virtual event software that you're already using, like GoTo, Zoom, Adobe, WebEx, those are all things that you can utilize in some format. So don't dismiss them. They will be big components. So no matter if you're going to talk to us about using our LMS or another system or company, keep in mind that you already have existing tools you can use as well. Things about like how many sponsors you have and how you want to engage your sponsors, those are going to be important for us to know. And the biggest one from our perspective, because we're really focused on professional education and working with associations that offer credits and certificates, is what are your requirements for credits and certificates? Do you offer multiple types of credits for each session? Do you need one main certificate that all of the sessions people attend show up on? That's kind of where we're going to differentiate with our virtual event platform. So that's all helpful information that you should be thinking about.
Question came in from John. Will we have access to a recording of this, or should we be taking screenshots during?
You don't have to worry about doing that. We'll send you the recording so that you don't have, you can take screenshots if you want, but then you don't have to worry about that. We'll send the recording. When we talk about production services and what that means, we're not talking about like actually going to conferences and capturing. It's more like preparing your presenters. This is a big component of virtual events, is the preparation that goes into it. So you want to, whoever you're working with, think about how are you going to prep your speakers? How are you going to inform your attendees on how to use this new virtual event tool? Are you going to have like a virtual MC? So those are all kind of things that we offer and that we can help walk through as well, as far as what you need to do to be prepared to offer a virtual event. So a couple of different aspects: the production of a live webinars, the actual just like services to help with communication, and then the platform. So we're focused today on the platform. How does the actual technology work? And then there's other services that go into really helping pull off a virtual event. Okay, so what are the core elements that go into your conference? We've got your sessions, your education sessions, the networking, and the expo hall. This is what we're going to talk about today in Conference Now and show you how to kind of pull those three things off in a virtual event platform. I won't get too much into this. Just keep in mind that there are various levels of production. So a lot of times when you attend a virtual event or are considering doing a virtual conference, you have to make decisions around, is the actual session going to be like a live webinar or webinar series? That's kind of level one. Or are you going to try and pre-record all of your sessions and then still host them at specific time slots with live moderation or somebody moderating the chat? Or the level three would be actually, if you're still having a live event, we're thinking like the fall, and you want to also offer it as a virtual option, can you live stream like your keynotes? So think about the different formats. There's a lot that goes into pulling off a virtual event, and you'll be successful if you kind of mix the various formats that are out there, so you have kind of different engagement levels with your audience. Some vocab, a webinar is what we're on right now. So you've got your speakers and then all of our attendees are muted. So you guys can't just like jump on and start talking to me, but you can chat with me. A virtual meeting is like the Brady Bunch picture that we see all over LinkedIn right now, which is great. This is our happy hour that we have at our company. Everybody can talk, everybody can be seen. And then live stream is just really like live streaming a live event, whether somebody's on a stage presenting or you just increase the production value. You're sending somebody like a green screen and you have a nice mic, and that's really like live streaming a live event. Okay, education session. So again, I'm just going to go through this kind of vocab really quickly and then jump into the platform to show you what that looks like. So some of the things that we want to focus on for education in a virtual event that we need to reproduce is your pre-conference. And this is where we're recommending kind of a virtual MC orientation. Your keynote sessions, those will be probably like live webinars like we're on right now, where your keynote's presenting and all the attendees are muted, but they can chat. Tracks and concurrent sessions or breakout sessions. Generally, these are pre-recorded. You can also do them live in the virtual meeting platforms. So we'll talk about what some of those limitations might be from a technology perspective and why you might decide to pre-record them instead of doing multiple live virtual meetings. And then posters, exhibitor pages. Posters are definitely more educational. We'll talk about how you can recreate those poster sessions in a virtual event platform. All right, so I moved on to networking. There's a lot of networking that happens at your face-to-face conference. You can't replace hugs and waves and seeing people in person, but you can encourage collaboration. So we talk a lot about chat and live chat features and the forums. So chat is happening at one designated time. It's a feed, just like our chat right now has a bunch of questions coming in, and it's a feed. A forum is asynchronous, so it's persistent. It's not going to happen at any designated time. This is what we're going to use like on your exhibitor pages. So there might be a forum, people can post questions and go there, and then the exhibitor can respond at any time, but everybody can see that kind of wall of posts. And then messaging is private, so not everybody can see it, and it's one-to-one, or the people who are messaging each other can control who gets invited to that message. We do recommend scheduling these formal networking aspects into your virtual conferences. What does that look like? Maybe you'll hold a virtual coffee hour. I have one every morning for 30 minutes with some friends, and schedule it, and then people just show up with their coffee and chat. And usually the best format for that is a virtual meeting. So that's the Brady Bunch picture, using something like Zoom meetings or GoToMeeting, and have that available for people to join just to chat with each other. Informal networking, this is where we're going to use the tools like forum, boards for people to go join a community, post questions on specific topics, the peer-to-peer messaging you want to encourage, and then just being able to see who else is in the conference, usually in like a conference app, which you might still be using for a virtual conference. You can see everybody who signed up for the conference, see their profiles, and just encourage the use of that even more when you're doing your virtual conference. And then lastly, the exhibit hall. So I'm just going to go into the site in a second here to show you this live, but really what the expo hall is in a virtual event platform is a series of pages. So you kind of have your expo page, which is going to break down, just like your web page probably already does, who are your sponsors, what levels are they sponsoring at. Maybe your premium sponsors are going to have a little demo video. Your silver mid-tier sponsors are going to have just their logo, and then the lowest tier just gets their name written in words. Then you can even have like an expo page for each exhibitor, and that's where you'll have like the networking with the exhibitors, and giving them that value of having a space that they own on the digital event, so that they can post videos, they can chat with attendees, set appointments, etc. Okay, so let's go into the system. I don't need these. Any questions I should get to before I jump in? You good?
Have not seen one yet. I think we are good unless one pours in now.
Okay, great. All right, so this is Conference Now, which is a virtual event platform. So this is for associations that don't have time to stand up a full learning management system, but need a solution for a virtual conference. We can get this up and running pretty quickly. This is using our learning management system, so we have a lot of the tools available. We've just turned off the things that make it take a lot of time to set up, and focused it just on the virtual conference. So this is an option if you just need something for your virtual conference, but all the tools that I'm going to talk about and show today are possible within our actual learning management system, CourseStage. So for all of you clients lurking, this is the system that you have, and all the tools that you're seeing are available to you in your LMS as well.
A question came in from Jay. How do you foster or encourage interactions between attendees and sponsors and exhibitors?
Yes, great question, Jay. So I'll show that when we get to the expo hall. It's all about kind of scheduling in those breaks, just like you do at a live conference. You have scheduled expo breaks for your attendees to go visit the exhibitors. Other things that we've seen are like prizes and giveaways. So if you post to a discussion forum on an expo page, you get, 5 points. You can do things like awarding digital badges, you can gamify it, or you can just do just like we do when we go to an actual expo hall. I know we give away like Amazon Echo Dots and drones, things like that. So exhibitors are used to that, like have a giveaway or a prize, and then ask the exhibitor, hey, what do you want your like poll to be? Say, they have to submit their contact information, and then you're going to do a drawing. That's pretty standard in a live conference, and you can easily replicate that in a virtual conference. Now there's this kind of battle, not a battle, but a lot of people talking about, well, if you're going to do a virtual conference, you should rethink things and do things differently than you do for your live conference. And that's 100% true if you have the time to do that. Not everybody right now has that option to really rethink their strategy for a virtual conference. So if you're talking about a fall conference, you might have more time to think about, okay, what can we do differently and make this unique as an offering for a virtual conference? Good question, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Stephen, thanks for joining us. Is the badging and gamification you referenced built into the conference setup? Yeah, so it's an optional component. You can decide to implement that. So badges are digital badges, so those can be created in the system and then awarded. So you guys would be responsible for like the design of the badge and what the levels and how they earn the badge, and then we would set that up for you in the system. So if you say we want them to get badges for posting to discussion forums, we can set that up. But like the structure of how you want them to get badges, we can recommend best practices and stuff like that, but all of the functionality is in the system. All right. So this is our conference lobby. A lot of options to throw on your conference lobby. Most of the time we see like a recorded demo of the system and how you want users to use it. If you are doing like a badging program, this would be a great place to explain that. How do you get points? How do you, kind of compete? Where do you go to see how many badges you've earned or how you earn badges? So this is kind of like your main landing page for people to understand how to use the virtual conference and access what they need, especially if you're doing like accreditation and giving credits and certificates. You want to put that information here as well. Again, it might be a recorded demo, or it could be broken down in a text-based kind of written section so that you can explain things thoroughly. On the lobby, you'll probably go ahead.
Oh, a question came in from Hope. Could an accumulation of badges be auto-converted into CEUs, certificate completion / certificate?
So I don't know the answer per your accreditation requirement. So I don't know if your type of credit allows you to turn badges into credit. Functionality-wise, you can use badges and to conditionally release your credits. So to use the non-technology answer, yes. So if you award a badge, it can convert into credit in the system. So the technology can do it, just depends on if your accreditation allows for that kind of award system.
Great.
You're welcome.
Hope.
So I'm just going to go over some of the things we see on this lobby page. On the right-hand side, we have our online users. So this is showing all of the users in your conference. If somebody joined me on my conference, I would be able to message them. So I could see that user and send them a message. So that's one way to encourage that peer-to-peer collaboration. A live chat, you might not have this on your lobby page, but you could just have it for if you have a staff member that is going to monitor a live chat for any questions. That's one way to help decrease any like concerns around support calls. So you might have a live chat on the actual system where you have a staff member responding to any questions that folks have as they're moving through the system. This messages is showing like as a user, personal messages. So it would be different for every user that logs in, and they would see the messages that are getting sent to them. So again, if you're trying to encourage more collaboration amongst attendees, they can see their messages right on this dashboard. Otherwise, they still will get a notification up here in the little messages menu where they can see any messages that they have to respond to. sponsor collaboration and promotion. You can post their logos, link to their Expo Hall pages throughout the whole platform. Oftentimes the premier sponsors will have a place on this lobby page that are promoted. Sometimes it'll be like at the bottom with the thank you to all of our sponsors. That's something you could do right on this lobby page. And then don't forget about technical support. How are you, now that you're not in person with all of your attendees, how are you going to manage helping them navigate the system and answer any questions they have? Just think about that. You might already have stuff set up at your association to respond to digital requests. So how are you going to incorporate that into whatever tool you're using so that you help your staff manage that as easily as possible? All right, so then I'm just going to go into some different session layout types. So we can break down the days or lists of sessions in various ways. In this example, we have one page where all of the sessions for that day are listed, and then they can click into the session that they're interested in and access that session. This example is just for the CourseSage clients on the call. This is just a Page Pro page that's linking out to those various subcourses as each of those being a session. So you've got your keynote and then breakout sessions. So if these two sessions are happening simultaneously, you might chunk them together so that people know that they have to choose which one to go to for that session time block. And then the virtual coffee break.
A question came in from Hope. Is this set up as a course template in CourseStage, or would it be made available to us if we go with this example?
Yeah, you can have this. This is it's a template on my demo site. So, I'm happy to we can give you our course template so that you can play around with it. It might have different features enabled that you might need access to. So Matt will follow up with you.
I will follow up.
Okay, agreed, Hope. Always looking to save time. Yes, 100%. Okay, so in this example, we got all our sessions on one page. They would just click into here to go to the actual session. This keynote was set up as a live meeting. So this was a live using our Zoom integration. So this, because it's ended, it is ended, but if it went before the event starts, they would go to this page and then have a button to click to enter into the live event. So that's using the integration with Zoom in this specific example. Let's look at, if you have more than 15 sessions a day, you probably want to break out your pages even further. So in this example on day 2, we have 3 different time blocks that have their own sessions in those certain time blocks. So for example, from 9 to 12, I can see the sessions just for that time block. We have clients that have 10 to 15 sessions in one time block. This layout might work better just to help minimize the on-screen activity going on so that they can just look at what's going on for that specific time block at one time if you have multiple sessions in one time block.
Question from Aaron. Would we need our own Zoom account?
Yes, yeah. So if you're using this setup, if you're trying to do live meetings, so that goes back to the production value. You would either pre-record sessions and then you wouldn't have to use these actual integrations. Then you can live moderate. So that's a different example. Once I get to the production level examples, I'll show you what the differences are. If you want to do actual live virtual meetings like we're doing here, you would either need Zoom or GoTo, and then either meeting or webinar platforms, depending on what type of event you want to hold. So I'll show this. Here's a little snip of it, but we'll talk about this in a second, which kind of reviews all of those. And then we offer the services to help you kind of tie it all together and put it into this platform so that your users go to one place and they can walk through their event and then know where to go. But there's a couple different types of technology helping support that.
Question came in from Tobin. What level of production support can WCW offer? Example, putting the pieces together for the conference for those groups that don't have their resources in-house available.
Yes. Looks like you're about to answer that. Yes. Yeah, I will. Thanks, Tobin. Good. We'll talk about our services and what we offer when we get to these examples, so you can kind of see the difference. And we also have some guides that can help you. We really just want to provide as much guidance as we can right now to help you guys pull off these virtual events. So whether you want just some assistance, full assistance, or anything, we're here to help. So just feel free to ask us those questions. I'm going to do the expo hall first. Well, no, let's do that now because we're on sessions. Sorry. So let's talk about these production levels and what the different types are and how you actually execute them. So the first one that I talked about is actually doing live meetings. So I'm just going to go into this and kind of talk about the difference between, I don't know if you can see this very well, let me zoom in. And this pricing is like the actual platform pricing from the other, so you don't have to really pay super attention to that. What we care about is tracking the features of the different types of platforms, and then also the integration features. So one thing that when you're looking at doing virtual events, if you want a live component that's not just a pre-recorded live, which is what most like virtual event platforms are doing, but if you want it to be live in a format like we're in right now, you'll use an integration with one of these types of systems. And these are just the ones that we offer. So, that's not a limitation of all companies, I'm sure. But what you want to just remember is that GoToWebinar, Zoom Webinar, you can have multiple presenters and participants are muted. And then in GoToMeeting and Zoom Meeting, participants are not muted. So that's kind of the first thing you want to decide is, do I want my participants to be muted or not? And if you do want them to be muted, then you want to be using a webinar platform. If you don't, then you want to be using a meeting platform. Another limitation of these is understanding how many participants they allow. So meetings usually have caps around like 250. Zoom Meetings allows a large meeting add-on fee, so you can actually have up to 1,000 people in a Zoom meeting if you pay that large meeting add-on fee. GoTo is limited to 250 participants without the enterprise level. So I've gotten a lot of questions from clients about this, like how do we know which one we need? And really you have to kind of dig into how many users you want. Do you want them to be muted or not? And then do you need to have concurrent sessions? So in these systems, usually if you want to have multiple sessions at one time, you need multiple profiles under one account. So for example, your association might have a GoToWebinar account. If you need multiple sessions at any given time, you're going to have to buy multiple organizer profiles so that you can have multiple sessions at one time. And so a lot of this is like limitations of these systems. And of course, since we rely on them, we care about making sure we understand them as well. So this is why I'm sharing this information. The other thing to be aware of is the API rate limits. So each of these systems also has integration limits that they don't allow more than a maximum number of calls to the API at a given time. So if you're using any kind of integrated solution, which has a ton of benefits, like your users don't have to register in that other platform, you get attendance tracking into your LMS. There's a ton of benefits of using the integration. Just be aware of the API rate limits. So GoToWebinar is kind of the most difficult at this point right now because they have a limit of 500 calls per day. You can call their technical support team and get that raised, but you just have to know that you have to do that. So don't try to host a GoToWebinar with more than 500 people through an integration without being aware that you need to call their technical support. We only know this because we've had horror stories, so just want to get that out there. Then other ones like Zoom is pretty good. Their API rate limit is 10 requests per second, and integrations can throttle that, so you shouldn't have any problem. But it is shared by all apps on one account. So if you're running multiple virtual conferences in one Zoom webinar account, then you might run into issues. And then your meeting platform, same thing. So GoTo has a similar integration, and then Zoom is the same. So this is probably most helpful for my course stage clients on the call, just so that you can understand the various options. We are like right now enhancing all of our integrations with these platforms. So for Zoom Webinar, that's going to be available starting next Wednesday when the sprint comes out, for the multiple sessions. So being able to host 2 Zoom webinars at a time using different profiles, that's starting next Wednesday. The same thing with GoToWebinar, right? We have these integrations right now, but they're just for one at a time. So we're enhancing that so you can have multiple sessions. So that comes out with the GoTo one on April 22nd, so the next sprint after that. So again, talk to Matt if you want to be using any of these specific integrations for your actual conferences in CourseStage right now, and let him know so that he can schedule you guys getting those feature updates as soon as possible. And if anybody wants this, we can send it to you. Just don't like rely on my actual pricing just from looking at their websites. So this is just a guide for us to kind of understand and help recommend our clients what to do. So that's production value 1, where you're using our system and going into a live webinar or live meeting for happy hours, breakout sessions, keynote sessions, everything. The whole thing can be live just like that, using this integration and using Conference Now as really, or CourseStage as a management platform of your conference. Production level 2 is actually pre-recording sessions. So in a pre-recorded case, this is more where Tobin, like our services, would come in. So we can work with your speaker, meet with them, record their session, do any editing that needs to be done, put it onto Conference Now, and then have them available to live moderate a chat at the specific time that you want their presentation to be playing. So either if you're going to do this on demand or if you still want it to be synchronous, we have a client services team that can help actually produce this event for you and manage your speakers, moderate chat, have your speakers on the chat, and post the pre-recorded sessions into the different session times. So those are services that we offer. We also can, provide those recordings to your association so you have all of the content, and then logs of the chat information as well. In the first example for live webinars, we can do the same where our production team can help like do a tech prep session. Because you're hosting it live, you want to do the preparation ahead of time so they know how to use Zoom Webinar or GoToWebinar. Those are also services we can provide. So if you need assistance or you just need, some help because you have 100 speakers, you need to get prepped on how to use these tools, those are services that we can offer to help prepare your speakers, get them organized. We can help by providing PowerPoint slides that kind of show attendees exactly where they're at and what to do in the platforms. And then also the post-production services of managing the recordings and getting those over. So those are some of the services we provide around webinars and production value 2, which is where we're pre-recording the session and moderating live. Those are things that our team can help you with.
A question came in from David. With virtual events and education sessions, can you supply PDF to registrants to take their own notes? How would you supply and prevent people from distributing this information? Is this a service that WCW can offer?
Yeah, so David, you use our system. So you can post a PDF into any of these sessions in the course anywhere. So it would be a PDF though, so they'd have to download it and they could use it to take notes. But because it's a PDF in the example you're sharing, they would have access to that PDF then. So then you do lose control of them. They can share it. So there's not much you can do if you want them to be able to have access to that. They would be able to share that out. This gets into the kind of the digital rights management and just how much protection you need around your content. So that's definitely something to think about and that you'll have to consider if you are posting content into your sessions that is downloadable. All right. And okay, so I'm just trying to see if I missed anything. So in this session, we have our pre-recorded session. We've got our moderated chat. We also have our certificate of completion. So this is the element where WebCourseWorks and our platforms really probably differentiate from other virtual event platforms. We have a big focus on professional education. So we know a lot about credit management, controlling access to credit, evaluations, if you need to do post-tests, and then certificates of completion. So that can all be built out into any individual session that you offer. So if you want them after the session's over to fill out an eval, and then that unlocks the certificate with credit awarded, that can all dynamically happen in the system. Even before all of this, a lot of our association clients use this system for their annual conference as like a hybrid event, so that they can provide the evaluation and the credit claim experience in the LMS. It reduces duplicative effort on your staff, so you don't have people filling out evals in person. They're in the system filling out, and they get their credit right away. It goes into their transcript. And assuming you're using CoreStage that's integrated, you have all of your integrations in place to send that credit data where it needs to go. So if that kind of component's important to you, I would recommend looking at your learning management system vendor if you already have one, or a learning management system type virtual event platform, so that you don't have to duplicate effort with credit management and certification. And then just the last example is the live event and live component. I think so this is, this can be streamed live. So if you actually have somebody capturing a face-to-face event, we aren't capture people, so we don't have a team that will go to your conference and capture. That's not what we do. But somebody like Freeman, any AV company, there's a lot of vendors in the association space that do that. They can give us a feed, and it's an SMTP feed. We can take that and actually live stream right into the system. So if you're thinking an October, November, December conference that you're still going to hold live, but you want to offer a virtual component, that's something I would consider doing, is actually live streaming like your keynote sessions, and maybe like one session an hour, so that you have that live kind of component in your virtual conference offering as well. Okay, Expo Hall. I have to get there. All right, so here's just an example of an Expo Hall. And this is breaking us down by platinum sponsors, gold, silver. Again, you can use different formats. So we've got video, your image, graphics, or just plain text, if you wanted to offer different levels to your sponsors. Here's an example of an actual sponsor page, and this is what you're going to work with your exhibitors to show what you can offer to them. So they could have like a little banner, their graphic, whatever they want to put on their page, a description. You can link out to their website. Contact information is important. And then we're recommending having your sponsors do like a pre-recorded elevator pitch. It could, if they are a software vendor, it could obviously be a demo, or anything that they would kind of do or say when somebody walks up to their booth. You can have this automatically play when somebody gets to their page. So that's kind of a nice way to welcome an attendee to the expo page. And then it puts the work onto your exhibitors. So have them submit those to you, post it on their page, and then put their contact information. This is an example of a discussion forum. So you can have kind of a wall or a feed of forum conversations. So if vendors want kind of a public forum about questions, this would be the most public way to do that. Sometimes vendors want more private conversations, so you might just encourage messaging for them. And then you can also have submission forms so that your attendees can request to submit their information to this vendor to be followed up with. It's kind of similar to like scanning a badge at a conference. If somebody comes to your booth, it'll give them your information only if you scan the badge. So you kind of want the attendee to have a little bit of control of that, depending on how you manage your attendee list, etc. But you can let them say, submit my information. Yes, I agree. And then you'll have this list of contacts and attendees in your site that have submitted. You can provide that to the vendor post-conference so that they get access to all of the people who submitted on their page. One other thing that we've seen work really well is hosting kind of live chat sessions with exhibitors. So you might have this live chat at a specific time. So maybe from 8 to 9 every morning, the exhibitors will be on their exhibit pages. Go ask them questions at that point. We've also seen something work really well. I know one of our clients, AMDA, just did this with their conference, but they're doing production, what did they call them? Matt, what were those?
What was the term? Was it like a product theater?
Yeah, it was a product theater. So yes, having like actual virtual sessions for vendors to kind of talk about their product. And I think they coincided those with their happy hours. So they had it was a virtual meeting format, meaning that everybody could share their webcams, but the exhibitor was also sharing their screen. And it was kind of like a product spotlight for them, and then also a happy hour. So try to just kind of incorporate those like you would for your live conference, and you can direct people either to the expo page or to a virtual meeting. You can host the virtual meeting right on this exhibitor page as well. All right. Am I missing any questions yet? We've got a couple minutes left. The poster hall is very similar. So if anybody on this call has posters, similar concept where you might have various levels of posters you want to break down, and then allow each poster presenter to have their own page. Again, doing a recorded demo of their poster is really nice, posting the PDF of the poster, etc., having your forum, just really encouraging ways to get the information out there. You can control who sees these pages as well. So if you have users in specific groups or different areas that you want them to see, our system allows you to kind of control access to different areas. So that's something you can accomplish in the virtual event as well. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. Does anybody have any questions? Hope, did we answer your questions? Yeah. Okay, Tobin. If we had one piece of advice for folks taking their meetings virtual, what would it be? Prioritize. You don't have to, just because your live event had 100 sessions that you were going to offer, you don't have to replicate that whole thing. Usually, like when you're doing registration, you get feedback on what sessions people are really most interested in, or you know your most common speakers. I would just prioritize what's most important to the industry right now, and focus, put your focus and energy there, because it's a lot. Your staff has a lot to learn right now. It's a shift for your staff, for your attendees. So just prioritize what's most important to what's the most important value you can provide for your industry right now, and then deliver on that value. Stephanie, certificates and evaluations. Yes. So, so certificates in the system, you'll give us a certificate design. So it'll be branded for your organization, and then it will dynamically populate the person's name, the session they attended, and then the amount of credit that they were awarded for that session. So you can dynamically populate all of that by Hope, thanks for joining us, into the certificate. And then you can also control the type of credit you want to award and how much you want to offer. So there's two types of certificates, just real quick. I want to let Stephanie know. You can have one certificate per session. So they get a certificate for each session they attended. And then you can also have a multi-session certificate that is going to list all of these sessions for the whole conference. So on one certificate, they're going to see all the sessions they attended, all of the credit they were awarded, and it's going to dynamically populate from the credit that they earned throughout the conference. Any other questions? I'm sorry, they're going fast.
There is one more. Can your system connect to ExpoCAD for exhibits?
So we've integrated with quite a few different, that must be a conference app solution, something like that. I haven't heard of ExpoCAD specifically. If they have an open API, the answer is always yes. But no, we haven't integrated with them specifically before. You kind of want to think about, what do you want the integration to do? If it's for exhibits specifically, if you just want to send, have your expo hall send to a different software in a page, it could just be a link. assuming that that vendor doesn't have single sign-on on. So integration kind of just depends on what level of integration you want, and then what level of integration is available. But in your Expo Hall, you might just be linking out to other pages that you already have built out. And you can definitely do that. You could also embed it. You could embed each of those pages in the Expo Hall in our system if you wanted it all in one place. But I would just have the question of, do people have to log into ExpoCAD? Because then we would need to do the single sign-on integration, so they don't have to go through that process again. Oh, it draws booths. Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
Thanks, Tobin. Huh, I'll look into it. Thanks for the question, Lauren.
Yes, thank you.
Huh. Cool. Any other questions? I hope this was helpful. We will share the recording. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to Matt or I with any questions that you have about doing virtual events. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.